let's go ahead and we'll call this meeting to order since it's 12 o'clock and we're good to go. Welcome to everyone who is here. We'll ring a bell, try to do that. There we go. That still works. We're going to call the meeting to order and welcome to Remotary episode 11, I believe it is. And our weekly devotional, I thought, was kind of appropriate. It's talking about service, and you can make this apply to service in our community. You can consider it to be elected office or any kind of different things that you might want to consider, but I thought it was appropriate for the days in which we are living. So in Rotary, you only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love, and you can be that servant. So that's kind of cool, like that. Now with the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do, we're not going to recite, but you can just kind of remind yourself, because when we recite, it's kind of like a round, singing row, row, row your boat, and we all finish at different times, and it's really kind of weird. So just know the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. And the vision of Rotary is that together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, which is what we're doing today, and in ourselves. Here's a message that I thought was kind of interesting. It was posted on the Rotary website, and I blew up the text a little bit so you can see it. It's words from Paul Harris from long ago, but again, very appropriate to what we do and what we're living and what Rotary is all about. So take just a second and you can read through that. And for those of you listening via phone, we'll have an opportunity. Sam's recording this and get back, and you can see what all these things are that I just realized that you can't see. So we'll do better. Upcoming events, next week, Dr. Spites is coming back to do a COVID update. And then 23rd, Slade Mitchell is filling in from City Water and Light, and he's going to talk to us about the new solar venture that CWL is getting into. And we can still talk about low rates and how all that works across the country. And then our Rotary District 6150 virtual conference is going to be Saturday the 27th. I think it starts at 10, and then some stuff will happen, and then there'll be time for you to eat a sandwich, and then we'll close out and be done. But they'll be presenting awards and all sorts of different things. So that's a good thing. And then on Tuesday, June 30th, you kick me to the curb in lieu of or in favor of Mr. Higgins. He is following, and that will be a wonderful, wonderful day. And we'll get everything taken care of and try to leave it in a good situation for him. Also coming up on June 25th, if you haven't participated in these before, I would highly recommend it. It's a great opportunity to learn about COVID and what's going on around the state. Dr. Jennifer Dillaha is a Rotarian, and she is also the medical director for immunization and outbreak response for the Arkansas Department of Health. She's the state epidemiologist. And these are wonderful programs that are put together by Sam and coordinated with questions and things like that by Hatton. And I'm really proud of our club for participating in these. And it was kind of a vision of District Governor George that we stay connected and share information that Rotarians can share. So that's great. So on the 25th at 3 o'clock, you can watch on YouTube or you can watch through Facebook. And these are really good. So we'll post that in the bulletin again. And then this morning this was really, really projecting out into the next year. And I appreciate Hatton for supplying this. When you're scheduling and when you're planning, you might want to take these things into consideration. So over the next 6 months, you can see that. odds are it's going to happen.
That's how they plan things in news, Brian.
I love it. I love it. That's really good. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, and we're really glad to welcome Tony Thomas here, not as a Rotarian, although as I said this morning, this could also be counted as a vocational, so score one for Will Branch. But Tony Thomas is the Executive Director of the Crowley's Ridge Development Council, commonly known as CRDC, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the new partnership that CRDC has partnered with the Hub downtown to combat homelessness and do something in the county. So, Mr. Thomas, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being with each of you in a different capacity today. I've had the pleasure of just sitting back and relaxing during the lunch hour and listening to some great presentations. Today it looks like my time has come. I also heard Nanette on the line today, and I just want to express my appreciation for United Way and their support. We have a partnership with them during the COVID. I know they're working on tornado, and they're also working with us on some COVID-related issues for those that have been impacted by COVID. And so I appreciate the partnership with United Way as well. Before we get started on the partnership with the Hub, I just thought it would be beneficial to dialogue a little bit, really quickly, about who we are as an organization. So I want to tell you a little bit about CRDC. I want to spend just a few minutes to talk about the Hub and who they are as a part of our community. And then I would like to talk about the partnership that we're venturing into together. It is something that's in its infancy, but it is something that we're definitely excited about as we look at tackling a growing issue, not only in the state of Arkansas, but a growing issue in our community here, in our communities, I'll say, here in Northeast Arkansas. CRDC, we are one of many community action agencies that are all over the United States. Most of us are private nonprofits that are commissioned by the state, and really our sole focus is to assist in mitigating the ills associated with poverty in the lives of individuals and families. We were established in 1969, so last year we celebrated 50 years in operation as an organization. This is our 51st year in operation, and again, there's over 1,000 agencies across the United States doing similar work here. Similar work that we're doing here in Northeast Arkansas. Most of our activities fall through the Department of Human Services there with the Office of Community Services. I would also like to add that our agency, even though we're headquartered here in Jonesboro, we serve 8 counties here in Northeast Arkansas. They include Craighead, Greene, Crittenden, Cross, Poinsett, Jackson, St. Francis, and Woodruff counties. One of the things that this partnership has brought about, or came from, I guess I should say, is every 3 years, as a mandate from the state, we have to go through what we call a community needs assessment. That community needs assessment allows us to basically assess what the needs are for our communities, because we're going to talk about a few core programs, but the beautiful thing about CRDC is CRDC has the ability to adapt and to adjust to the needs that are exhibited in each of the communities that we serve. And so every 3 years we go through this needs process. We establish the top needs based upon the assessment, and then our goal is to develop programming that aims to meet those needs. And one of the needs that we consistently have seen tracked fairly high is what we would consider homelessness, or what some of you would consider near homeless, and that's individuals who are on the brink of being homeless and who may not be in the streets or may not be in a dire situation, but they're just a night away, or they're just a week away. A lot of times they're living with families, they're living with friends, what we call couch surfing, going from home to home, but no real place to call their own. And so as a part of our community needs assessment, we have been, as an agency, trying to ensure that we meet the needs related to homelessness in our 8-county area over the past few years. And the partnership with the Hub was just, again, it was a monumental step for us in meeting those needs here in Craighead County. Now, here at CRDC, we do a number of things. Like I said, we have some core services. We do a lot of case management and family development. We work with in the education arena, in the child care, in the adult care center. Primarily in those areas, we're focused on meeting the nutritional needs of youngsters and adults that are a part of those centers. Most of the time, when you say, what do you know about CRDC? The first thing people say is utility bills assistance. And we do run a program for the state called LIHEAP that assists low-income individuals with utility mitigation and utility payments. We actually have a number of housing development in single-family housing in 4 of our 8 counties here in Northeast Arkansas. We have a drug recovery center here in Jonesboro, a substance abuse recovery center, and we do transportation in rural areas, as well as do a host of prevention services related to legal and illegal substances in our prevention department. And then we do some home weatherization services to maximize energy efficiency in homes. Our mission here at CRDC is to create opportunities for disadvantaged individuals and families to achieve greater self-sufficiency. And today you're going to hear me talk a little bit about what we call stability. Stability is a host of emergency services that just meet the immediate needs of individuals. And then we're trying to get everyone that we work with, though, to self-sufficiency. And self-sufficiency is a little different for each one of our clients, because it's based upon an individualized plan that they develop as far as the goals and the aspirations that they desire to attain. But self-sufficiency for us mainly is that an individual can stand on their own 2 feet and they have the income that meets the needs of their household. We tackle a lot of issues. We tackle a lot of issues through what we call our Connect program. And our Connect program is our case management program that will be working lockstep with the Hub in order to mitigate issues related to homelessness here in Northeast Arkansas. And let me get through those, because I also want to talk a little bit about the Hub. Hub is helping the underserved belong. The Hub began actually in 2017, and it is an offshoot of the mayor's task force to end homelessness in the city of Jonesboro. Their mission is to connect individuals with the resources they need to begin the journey out of homelessness. Generally, the services that are provided by the Hub are referrals, internet access, which is important and vital to just about everything we do from a program perspective. Temporary addresses, especially if you don't have a fixed location. It's important to have a place where you can receive mail, a place that you can, an address that you can place on an ID for state purposes. Hygiene items, references for job applications, help in getting some of those basic IDs that are necessary, and then a great deal of time is spent with financial literacy, which includes a lot of budgeting and how to live within your means. That was quick, but that was an overview of the 2 agencies that have sort of partnered together. And we had been having this discussion for quite a while between the Hub and Crowley's Ridge Development Council. I think it is no secret that most people in our community understand or understood that the Hub did face some challenges earlier in the year related to funding their executive director position. At that time, we were already having discussions about how our 2 agencies may streamline the process for individuals who were experiencing homelessness or were near homeless here in our community. So as a part of our needs assessment that I talked about a little earlier, we were already moving into that space somewhat in providing, really trying to provide, trying to meet the housing needs of individuals in that area, whereas the hub was really taking on the initial steps for getting an individual who had experienced homelessness, getting them stable, and then that the hub was kind of that entry point into the system, whereas we were kind of the second leg in that process. So this partnership just really solidified some of the work that we were already doing, and then it hopefully, as we move forward, we're going to see some benefits, primarily from a financial perspective, some benefits to the two organizations working together. So what does the partnership mean for our two organizations and homelessness here in Northeast Arkansas? Number one, it means just a reduced duplication of services. I think one of the things that I have championed since I've been here at CRDC is, why are we working on doing things that other people are, or other organizations or other entities in the community are already doing? It makes sense to join forces rather than compete against one another, so that each entity has the ability to truly specialize and utilize their limited resources in areas that would complement one another versus compete against one another. And so by joining forces, we've allowed an opportunity for the hub to serve and continue to serve as the true entry point to individuals that are experiencing homelessness or near homeless. And then again, CRDC becomes the next leg in that process. Generally, a client that walks into the hub, when they walk into the hub, then they are able to receive some of the services that we just sort of dialogued about. The biggie there is getting some form of ID. You know, we know that you can't do anything, it's impossible to do just about anything without some form of ID and some ability to identify yourself to the other agencies that individuals are normally referred to. For instance, here at CRDC, ID is a core document that you must have in order to receive any of our services. And so instead of both of us trying to tackle clients in that area, then we definitely, again, we want to allow the hub who has, who when they enter that program, they enter a 90-day process. In that 90-day process, there are a host of services that they receive. And again, those services are really targeted to just for emergency purposes. So it's designed to deal with the immediate needs that a client will have at that particular point in time. This partnership also will allow us to streamline case management. We have a case management program. The hub has an existing case management program. And the sweet thing about our partnership, and I think it's actually on the next slide, I do have a tendency to get ahead of myself, but the sweet thing about case management with our agencies is we are moving to one case management system that both agencies will utilize. And so normally a client would receive services at the hub, go through their intake process, which is quite exhaustive. And then once they were referred to CRDC, let's just say for utility assistance, or they were referred to CRDC for housing assistance, they would go through another intake process and have to be entered into our system as well. And so as you may imagine, that can be quite frustrating for the client to have to go through the same or multiple processes every time they go to an agency. Therefore, we have decided that we're going to utilize the same case management process so that it streamlines the process for the client, but also it assists us in knowing what has occurred, what activities has occurred in each of our programs that relate to moving this client through a process. And so we're excited about that potential with the hub, so that again we streamline that process for the client. And then CRDC has committed a dedicated resource to fund the salary of the hub director. We have some grant funding that we're using some of the local funds in order to leverage that funding so that we can commit to funding the salary of that hub director. We thought it was important for the continuity of that operation. We thought it was just important just for the life in the health of that organization to have a director who was not dependent upon local funds to 100% fund that salary. So CRDC was able to take some of our state grant funding to leverage some of those local funds in order to ensure that we took care of having personnel there. Right now, we're looking at funding the director's position, but there is also a plan as we move forward to add positions to the hub staff so that we are able to do the services or complete the services that are needed there. And then that hub staffer has the ability to move back and forth between the hub organization as well as our organization in order to be trained, in order to also have some of the ancillary support that any organization provides. The hub did not have a finance department. We have a finance department here at CRDC. There was not human resource personnel. We have a human resource coordinator here that is able to advise and assist the staff at the hub as needed on some of those issues that they face on a day in and a day out basis. And one of the things that we pride ourselves here at CRDC is we used state money for overhead. We use state money for computers. We use state money for salaries. And all of the local funds that are brought into our agency actually go back into direct client services in the community. So when a donation comes in from an individual in Jonesboro, we can assure them that that money is not going to pay the salary of Tony Thomas. That salary is not going to pay the salary of any staffer, but that money is actually going into programs that provide direct services to clients here in Craighead County or there in St. Francis County. So we want local dollars to be used for local purposes, and moving into a partnership allows the hub to do that as well. We take out that salary and office overhead, and we're able to utilize resources for that. And then all donations related to or that come into the hub's operation actually go and stay at the hub, and they're actually received indirect services by the clients that are there. And then lastly, it just ensures continued operation of the hub in Craighead County. One of the things that we like to do is we like to be a part of things that are working in communities, or we like to be a part of developing those things that are working in communities. Because we do work in an 8-county area, we have the ability to try things all over our region. All right, and so our partnership with the hub is truly an experiment over the next year to 3 years to determine how we can put a dent in homelessness in each of our counties. And the ultimate goal is that we take the model that our two agencies will develop here over the next year, year and a half to 3 years. We'll take that model, and that we're then able to replicate and duplicate that model in some of the surrounding areas, so that Jonesboro, and I hear it all the time. Everywhere I go, I talk about Jonesboro as the city on a hill, because most people come to Jonesboro for medical. We know they come to Jonesboro for medical. We know they come to Jonesboro for education. We know we're the regional draw. All right. Instead of everybody having to come to Jonesboro, then we want to be able to provide services in each of our communities so that they're able to meet the needs of their population, or they're able to meet the needs of the people in their communities. And this is a model that we hope we can use at some point in order to equip counties and cities to deal with the homelessness issue in their communities. We have entered into an agreement. This year, we entered into an agreement with the hub board. Right now, we are two still distinct and separate entities. The hub has its own 501c3 nonprofit status, as does CRDC. In year one, we will remain that way. Again, the only cooperation you're going to see are the items that I just dialogued about, in that we're going to be able to provide some organizational support as well as some funding in order to stabilize the operation there at the hub so that those services continue. At this time, we have staff and board members who will be placed on the hub's board, and then vice versa. The hub board has staff as well as board members who will be placed on the CRDC board. After year one, the goal is to continue to develop, well, within year one, at the end of year one, we have to have a plan. Number one, a plan for the operation of our two entities. So we have to have a plan for what moving forward looks like. And that could involve both agencies staying as two separate entities and continuing to just to partner in some areas. That could also involve agencies merging missions into one organization in order to be more effective and be more efficient in moving forward. And that's something that's yet to be determined by either of our organizations. And then the other component to that is right now, again, we provide fiscal support, but again, all funding that is raised by the hub, or all funding that is sent to that we receive on behalf of the hub, is dedicated solely for use at the hub. So it is a dedicated revenue that will be used solely for use at the hub. Hey, our homeless population is growing. Our homeless population is growing not just because people are moving here, but most of the time what we see, especially in the business that we're in, is when in times of plenty things are good, in times of lack, then our need tends to grow. And based upon what we've seen as far as the jobless rates and the increase in joblessness in our area, and just the overall economic slowdown that has occurred because of COVID, then we are seeing an influx of new individuals for all of our services across the board. And so we only can anticipate that we're going to see that in the homelessness arena as that potential tends to grow. One of our greatest needs is you. Both organizations need individuals that can be engaged, that could volunteer services in a wide array of categories. A lot of people don't want to deal with they don't want to deal with people. That's okay. We have opportunities behind the scene as well that individuals can plug into and individuals can be a part of. So it's just not dealing with someone on the front line. It's packing care bags behind the scene with toothpaste and tissue and different things like that. It could be taking your expertise that you have, maybe in accounting or maybe in finance, to assist individuals or to assist our organizations. And so we are always looking for opportunities for individuals to plug in. And then we are also always looking for opportunities for individuals to assist us through donations, whether that's, one of the things that occurred at the hub today is the Arkansas Care Team was coming in to do some COVID testing. One of the other items that was provided was a meal was provided at the hub today. And so it provided for those direct, immediate needs of individuals. And therefore, as we got them in to break bread with us, we were also able to get them tested for COVID, because all of the data, all of the research indicates that they're at a higher risk of exposure during the pandemic just because of their living situation at times. And so we're always looking for needs like that. So it doesn't always have to equate to money, as I tell people, but in-kind donations go a long way in helping us meet our needs here at both organizations. And I think that's all I have in the way of slides. I do want to take an opportunity, if that's kosher, to entertain any questions that may be held from the group.
Absolutely. If you've got any questions, just speak up and you'll have Tony's attention, or if you want to put it in the chat box, we'll look at that as well.
Hey, Tony, great job on the presentation. This is Hatton Weeks. You know, a lot of people think homelessness, it's somebody out on the street, but it's a lot bigger than that, isn't it?
Oh, most definitely. I can tell you the fastest growing population for homelessness is right now between the age of 13 and 17. And we don't think about that a great deal because, you know, I'm a dad, and I just assume that I take care of my children and everybody else does that. But you would truly be surprised at the number of teens who are living with a family other than their own. All right, and a lot of them are staying with friends. A lot of families are allowing them to sleep on couches and different things like that. But yeah, it is more prevalent than we know, and it's just not what we see. We have these traditional images of, you know, the guy pushing the cart down the street, or a guy just sitting, you know, a grungy guy sitting out on the block all day. In our communities, that's a sliver of the homeless population. We deal with hurting people a great deal every day, and again, if they're not already homeless, we have tons of families that are just paycheck, and the pandemic has really taken away that paycheck. And I can't tell you the number of times that we have had to speak to our landlord, or the number of times that we're trying to assist in mitigating an issue because we don't want that family. We really don't want another family on the street. And so the hub in CRDC, we're working extremely hard. I mentioned earlier the partnership with United Way. They've been the conduit for a significant amount of COVID funding, where we've been able to assist families through rental assistance and utility assistance. And again, we take those local dollars and leverage them with some of our state funding in order to make those dollars work much harder and go a lot further for us. And so, yeah, get that image out of your head of some dirty person on the street. Most of the homelessness in our area is individuals who are about to be put on the street, or you know, we just dealt with a mother of 8 where the kids all slept in a small car. You know, we were able to get them in some temporary housing that we had, and are working on a plan with her in order to move her forward. But yes, homelessness, it impacts more than you know in our communities, and it is again, it's a growing issue.
Tony, there's a couple questions in the chat box about the numbers. Do we have any handle on the numbers of people that are either homeless or endangered?
We do. You know, most of our numbers are aggregated at a state level. They're just not. They're not kind of for our area. I can tell you each year, as a part of our continuum of care, each year we do a point in time homeless count. So through the Department of Housing and Urban Development, we have to, we do activities, and we go and we determine what, on that day, how many people are homeless. And the problem with that is that you get people who are, you know, who are homeless. Generally, those are on the street, those are in a shelter, those are in some type of alternative living environment. We don't get those people that may be couch surfing. We don't get those individuals who may have other living arrangements, but don't have a permanent place to lay their head. That number, although not steep in our count, that number in Craighead County roughly was about, I would say, between 30 and 35 this year. In our region, it was a little over 200. but I can tell you statewide that number was almost 3,000 individuals. And again, those are just the ones that we can count. I can tell you that in the past 2 months, we have seen right at a 73% increase in rental applications for rental assistance.
Hey, Tony.
I think we can go ahead, Al.
Tony, do y'all do any work with the Salvation Army?
And the Salvation Army is a part of a couple of other groups that we are a part of. Our role with the Salvation Army right now really is to refer individuals that may need that temporary shelter. And so, yes, we do work closely with the Salvation Army. We work closely with Mission Outreach there in Paragould, and then Stepping Stones in Truman is a shelter that really focuses on women and children at this point in time. And so we're working with them as well.
Great, thank you.
A couple questions that I think we can summarize. One was, where do we take in-kind donations and or mail checks? And is the hub still physically located on Union?
Yes, we are grateful to the members and staff of First Baptist Church for allowing the hub to still operate there at that Union Street location. So yes, the hub is still physically located there at Union. Donations can be dropped off there. The doors are generally open Tuesdays and Thursdays there after 9. They're there on Union Street. We are located over in South Jonesboro at 2401. I almost forgot that address. 2401 Fox Meadow Lane. We're open every day, 8 o'clock to 4:45. We can be reached here at 870-802-7100. And again, we're open 8 to 4:45 Monday through Friday, whereas the hub is open on Tuesdays and Thursdays after 9. So either location, if you drop something off here for the hub, we will ensure that we get it there, and vice versa. So just depending on your proximity to either site, you're welcome to leave donations or anywhere. Can I provide you with a physical address after this when you
Sure.
You can send that to Rotarians. I can also tell you that our website is www.crdcnea.org, and there is a donation site that has all of our contact information, mailing addresses, and all of that. But I'll also provide that to Brian so that he can ensure that he sends that out and further communications with the group.
Good, thank you. Any other questions for Tony while we got him here? That's good. While I've got everybody's attention, a couple things that I failed to mention earlier. About 11:15 this morning, and I'm going to move out of the way and see if you can see it. But there's a banner right back there that is our official banner designating the Rotary Club of Jonesboro as a 100% Paul Harris Fellow Club. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you all for your work. And Carl, it happened, it really did. So there you go. Really proud of that. Now I'll try to get back in place here. And next week is our next episode 12 in the Remotary experience, and it's Dr. Spites coming back to talk about COVID-19, and that was really, really well received last time, and we asked him if he would come back, and Neelam, thank you for organizing that. And let's see. Thought for the day, I thought this was kind of appropriate dealing with the subject matter. Who are we as human beings if we ignore the suffering of others? And going along with that was this little jewel that I found. And that sums up our world, doesn't it? And if you look at the yellow, just summarize it as that. Somebody do something. I'm somebody. So, Rotarians, there's a question in the chat box that says, when do you anticipate us getting together again at the auditorium? As soon as we possibly can. As soon as the restrictions are lifted a little bit and we're a little bit more comfortable gathering face to face. We've been watching the governor's press conferences every day that talks about the spike, and for the last 2 weeks, every day there have been triple-digit increases in COVID cases, even though Northeast Arkansas is down right now, and we're so glad for that because of the actions everybody's been taking. We're not out of the woods yet. The highest increases have been in children 0 to 17 years old, and so as we knew, kids are petri dishes. So yeah. So there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is time to ring the bell, go forth and do random acts of Rotary and rotate. Thank you.